Hey guys, if we reach 1,000 likes, we'll be giving out 2 of our new shirts. All you gotta do is click like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Celestia, a character we've talked about on this channel as a Machiavellian type of ruler, who manipulates and controls everything from the shadow while looking innocent on top of a pretty throne. And while I've painted her as a completely evil person with very few redeeming qualities, what would happen if she simply was removed from the picture? What if one day Celestia simply disappeared? Let's give a little bit of a background for the very few of you guys watching who don't know about Celestia. Luna and Celestia were once one of many alicorns, but soon it became apparent that they would be destined for greatness, as he defeated Discord, the Lord of Chaos, and were crowned the next rulers of Equestria. The other alicorns soon mysteriously disappeared, and the only line of succession to the crown was through Celestia's bloodline. She takes over the duty of raising the sun and her sister of the moon. Soon after fighting countless battles and securing the place of Equestria in the world, she gets rid of her only other competition, Luna. Throughout history, she takes upon 2 known students, Sunset Shimmer, who has been also gotten rid of through some horribly contrived means, and then Twilight, who for some reason survives, oddly enough, without being banished anywhere, and becomes an alicorn herself. Luna is soon joined back with her sister after about 1,000 years, in which she is cleansed of her sins, in quotation marks, by the elements of harmony. Because nothing says I love you like literally shooting someone with a laser when they come back. And the rest of the story? Well, you know the rest of the story. Twilight and her friends go on all kinds of friendship missions to secure Equestria and make the world a better place. A more pony-like place. In this scenario, none of that changes. Celestia simply one day doesn't raise the sun and is gone from the country without a trace. Obviously, this sparks a panic in the castle. Celestia has been kidnapped before, and there's no shortage of people who would want her dead. After the guards and Luna find no sign of her, the elements of harmony are gathered. While this is going on, Luna, with the help of Twilight and various other unicorns, would raise the sun, trying to alleviate some of the public panic that would probably be caused by the sun not rising on time. I say Twilight and Luna because we've yet to see Luna ever lift the sun by herself. Even in episode 10 of season 7, where they switched places for the day, we never actually see Luna raise the sun. And it was told that before, multiple unicorns used to raise the sun. It took a lot of magical ability. We've only seen Twilight do it when she was infused with all 4 of the alicorn's powers. So, there's no reason for me to automatically assume that Luna can do it by herself. After they have a meeting about the mysterious disappearance of Celestia, the usual suspects are looked at, except the only ones who are reoccurring would be Chrysalis. And a nationwide search for her would probably be taken under, but would most likely yield no real results, as you're searching for someone who can masquerade themselves as anyone, including objects. You can't even utilize the full extent of the Pony Nation, as that would spark mass panic and alert the other nations to the vulnerability of Equestria. Eventually, fearing the worst and not receiving any demands or seeing the villain make their move, the nobility of the pony community starts to get desperate, as they would likely be the only one that would have knowledge of Celestia's disappearance, being so close to the government. They turned to the only group of people they could, the reformed changelings, as it seems that using other changelings would be the best way to find another changeling, except they can't. The only one who could tell the disguised changeling isn't who they are disguised as is the queen, as she's the only one we've ever seen be able to do anything like that. And the other changelings were tricked by Fluttershy in the Canterlot invasion. Even beings like Discord were confused by them. Meanwhile, other nations are demanding reasons as to why the sun was delayed this morning, knowing that this normally symbolizes a problem with Celestia. An official statement of Celestia simply being unwell would probably be dispersed amongst the capitals, trying to mitigate the damage as much as possible. The upper crust of the military forces of Equestria grow desperate probably at this point, and thus pressure the changelings for more information, assuming that they must be lying. After all, they were just enemies not too long ago. The nobles want to incarcerate all the changelings until information on Celestia is found. However, Twilight, being a princess herself, persuades Luna to quell the fears of the nobles. She would have done it herself, but being such a relatively new princess, she doesn't have as much sway in situations like this. The little pep talk given by Luna quells the nobles' anger, for a while at least. Keyword, a while. After a few days of Celestia being gone, the upper crust can no longer be contained, With no one coming to them for about a ransom or demands or any sign of a threat, they once again turned back to the changelings despite the protests of Twilight. Even Luna can no longer justify inaction at this point, and in this scenario allows them to go ahead with the original plan. But the changelings have already caught wind of what was soon to happen to them. After years of subjugation and living in the shadows, they left before they could be imprisoned for a crime they hadn't committed. Another few days pass and the sun still rises and the moon still sets, but slowly the population starts to realize something is wrong. The normally quite vocal and public Celestia hasn't been seen for a while, and day courts haven't been open, and the Princess of Friendship hasn't been to her castle in Ponyville for nearly a week, nor any of the other elements of harmony. Eventually, Princess Cadence, who would have been made aware of the situation almost immediately, finally is mobilized into meeting with the remaining members of the nobility and upper government officials, including that of Twilight, the Element Bearers, Discord, and Princess Luna. They discuss the next courses of action, and catch everyone up to speed. Celestia is gone. There is no sign of her returning anytime soon, and the gates of Tartarus are still secure. And no one has made a move on the country. Eventually, the nobility asks the question that everyone in the room has been avoiding. Who would want Celestia gone, but not make any demands or as a step to a greater plan of attacking Equestria? Discord and Luna would obviously be on the chopping block. Luna would most likely be kept under constant surveillance and be subjected to countless interviews and interrogations. I mean, why wouldn't she be? She had tried to overthrow the government once before, and it could be possible she tried it again. She's the only person who would be able to get close enough to silently take someone like Celestia down, and would benefit the most from the actions. Discord is treated the same, but is only able to be kept under such guard because Fluttershy convinces him to do so. Days pass, and eventually, with no other choice, the disappearance of Celestia is announced to the public. There's panic. People immediately suspect both Luna and Discord of the disappearance. The other countries and Celestia's enemies now know that her nation is vulnerable. However, no one dares attack as Equestria still maintains control over the sun. Days turn into weeks, and weeks turn into months. Eventually, people give up hope of ever really seeing Celestia again. No one ever comes forth, and most nations usually go about their own business. Of course, the standing of Equestria is now slightly lowered as they get less in bargaining deals and usually have higher tariffs on their goods now. They don't have Celestia there to wield the sun as a weapon. For all the other countries know is, they could only simply be able to raise and lower. Still, it's a risk that not a lot of people are willing to take. No one really wants to have their entire land scorched by a giant ball of fire that's 9 million times larger than their own planet. After months and months of searching and countless people giving false reports, the search is eventually called off. Celestia is deemed MIA, and oddly enough, the public outcry eventually turns into a general uneasiness. People are still scared, but everything seems to be normal. The only difference is, instead of Celestia constantly being there, there's just other government officials. After a while, Luna and Discord are both let go. There's nothing they can really pin them on. There's no proof of their actions, and they can't really hold them forever. However, due to public outcry, Luna would most likely have to step down as ruler of Equestria, simply because too many people would assume that she was planning this all along. The diarchy is officially disbanded, and Equestria becomes more of an oligarchical society, with Luna, Twilight at the top. However, Cadence is not a part of this. The oligarchy decides that Cadence, being so far removed from the actual Equestria nation, is no longer a member of the Equestrian government, and is therefore cut off from connections with them. Of course, Twilight would be part of the oligarchy. She is an alicorn after all, and alicorns are still symbols of powers. Twilight and Luna, though, are treated more as figureheads, as the actual decisions are now made by the upper crust nobility. Eventually, things return to what would be considered normal for Equestria. Trades go on as normal, and interactions with other nations go on as normal. However, Twilight is no longer really an agent of the state, but she still goes on her own missions. When she's not on missions, she's looking for Celestia. People like Rainbow Dash still hold up hope, hoping one day she'll just appear, as mysteriously as she disappeared, and that things will go back to how they used to be. But for a majority of people, life is the same as it ever was. In fact, to some people it was even better. No longer are they ruled by just one person. They now at least have a chance to influence the nobility to get their way. And that's pretty much what would happen with the disappearance of Celestia. Such an incredible Machiavellian figure, able to just disappear, and honestly, life is probably better. Eventually, the oligarchy would most likely be disbanded for a form of democracy. Everyone gets a say, or at least they get the illusion of getting a say. But hey, that's just one of many possible scenarios. And I want to hear what you guys think. What would happen if Celestia just randomly disappeared? What if she's just poofed out of existence? I've been Faith the Moliminous. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.